One of the best moments of my life is also one of the worst. This story begins almost 120 years ago, yes 120 years ago. I have a very special ability, or I guess disability, that I can recall my past life, kinda great, but also sad, because I can remember every detail of my past life, especially the person that I loved, the friends and families that I once have. It all began one afternoon during our science class. My name was Russell Peterson. I'm currently 17 years of age. I was having a big crush with this new girl in our class. Her name was Rachel Summers. This was back in the year of 1901. The world was a bit different back then. Currently I'm telling you this in the year 2021. Going back, Rachel was weird and beautiful. She got my full attention and curiosity. She often speaks to my classmates, even to me, which fuel my curiosity about her even more. Well, that all changes later that afternoon. We got to spend a whole time together because of a stupid mistake that I've done. I was a little mischievous, to be honest. Back then, I played a prank with our annoying class president, hoping to annoy her. I tied a knot to her bag while we're all busy practicing for our graduation. Rachel transferred to our school on our last year in high school. So, when the time comes for us to go home, I waited outside to see Sasha's reaction when she finds out that her bag was tied hard on her chair. So, everybody went out when I saw Sasha went out with her bag. I was shocked that she untied it so quickly. So, when I saw her leave the room, I immediately looked inside, and to my surprise, I tied the wrong bag that looked similar to Sasha's. It was Rachel's bag, and she was untying it. Her look was not bothered at all. It looks like she's used to have pranks like this. Of course, I helped her out when suddenly one of our classmates accidentally closed the other door that has a broken lock, trapping us from inside, while the other door is already locked from the outside. First, I tried calling for help, but that time we're the only class on that floor, making hard for someone to hear me. I just helped Rachel untie her bag first. Of course, even myself had a hard time untying the damn thing, and suddenly our hand intertwined. I looked at her, looking at her face up close. I was amazed that she was more beautiful up close. She just looked at me with this weird look, feels like she's judging me. I broke my gaze upon her with a nervous look and just continued untying her bag and finally removing it from the chair. We continued to try to open the goddamn door, and I was yelling for help for someone to open the door from the outside. It's already been 2 hours since we've been trapped here. So, to avoid any awkwardness, especially it was my fault, I opened up a conversation with her. I apologized that I mistook her bag for Sasha's. She just nodded and told me it's okay. I can't help staring at her, mesmerized by her beauty. I asked her why she transferred on the last year of high school. She just replied, "Well, my family move a lot." I didn't know what to say. So, I just replied with okay. Then there was a lot of awkward silence. I gestured for a handshake and told her, "By the way, my name is Russell, not that you don't know." She nodded and shook my hand, making me blush a bit. Of course, she noticed it. I just brushed it off and asked her another question. "Do you live nearby?" She replied, "Yes, it's just a walking distance, that's why I preferred walking." I replied, "Oh, really? I also walk after school, but I never saw you walking though." She replied, "I hang out by the tree near the field for a few hours before heading out." I replied, "Oh, that's nice. Maybe if we can go out here before sundown, I could hang out with you and check the view you're talking about, since we only have a few more weeks before the school year ends and we go separate ways, I mean go to college." She just replied with a "Sure, that'll be great." And after that I heard someone walks by. I shouted, "Help." Upon looking, it was one of the teachers passing by, and he opened the door. I explained to him what happened. It was a relief that finally we're free, not like we've been trapped there for days. So, it was already sundown. I asked her if she's still going to hang out to that place she mentioned. She said, "Yes." So, I walked with her and noticed that she's heading to the same direction my house is. We went to a bunch of bushes, and when we went out there was a big tree alone in the side of the field. I was mind blown that I never noticed this place, even though I always go through the same road as she is. She sat down under the tree. I sat down beside her and just enjoyed the air and the view. Nothing interesting happened back then, but after that every time we go home, I'll always hang out with her and just enjoy the moment. On our 5th day hanging out there, I asked her if she had any problem because I can sense in her eyes that something is bothering her. She just replied, "Nothing, I just find peace here." I bravely asked her that she can open up and I would love to listen to her. I also added I'm a good listener. After that, for the first time, she smiles. My heart was beating so fast when I saw her smile for the first time. She just said, "Well, I never told anyone before about my life. I guess it will be a great experience sharing what I feel with someone that will listen to me. I never had a lot of friends before, some of them are thousands of miles away now, sooner or later they'll forget about me. I was just happy that she agreed to share her feelings with me. She said, "We've been moving a lot for the past few years, that's why I preferred being alone, because I don't want to have any attachment to others, I will only be with them for certain amount of time before we move again." Of course, I felt sad for her. I said, "Good thing that you agreed to talk to me and hang out with me. 'Cause I can be a clown sometimes, but it depends on the weather." She laughed and told me. That was lame. While laughing hard, not sure if she's intentionally making fun of me or I just made her laugh that hard. Then she thanked me for spending time with her. She felt that she's not friendless anymore. She continued, "I'm not the kind of person that shares my feeling to get some empathy or for someone to understand me, I kinda like being alone with myself." I replied, "I'm the one who should be thanking you for making me spend time with you, it makes me happy that you feel that way." 1 month before our graduation, we were having our practice when I accidentally gazed on Rachel without knowing. I just felt this warm fuzzy feeling that I've been noticing for the past week since the day we've been hanging out. I was admiring her for being her when she suddenly looked at me, we made eye contact, and when I noticed it made me so embarrassed that I had to pretend that I'm looking for my friend. After the practice she suddenly disappeared. I asked my classmate where she went. They teased me at first, but told me that she was rushed home cause she's not feeling well. Some of my friends teased me because they thought she was my girlfriend, of course, I denied it, but I was worried about her. The next day she was already in our class, it made me so happy seeing her. After class I asked her if she's heading home already or she's still going to hang out by the tree. She replied, "I'll be hanging out there for a while." I joined her. While hanging out I asked her what happened to her. First, she was hesitant to answer my question. She told me that she just felt dizzy and she had to go home. Of course, I didn't believe her cause I thinks there's something else that she's not telling me. That day I tried to make her forget about her problems by entertaining her the best that I can. I was successful though because I made her laugh, it made me happy seeing her like that. I asked her, "Since tomorrow is Saturday, would you like to go out with me?" She was shocked and shy at the same time because of my question. So, I added immediately that, "Not like a date, just us hanging out since I think you don't have anything to do, but if you have plans tomorrow, it will be fine." She replied, "You're the first guy to ask me out. Of course, I'll go out with you." It made me so happy that I suggested to walk her home later that evening. She agrees. My house is far nearer than hers. While walking I felt this weird feeling inside my chest. Like someone is telling me to hold her hand. She looked at me, then asked me if I was okay, cause I'm looking pale. Then she asked me again if I'm tired I could go back home. I refused and assured her that I'm fine, with a little crack in my voice making her laugh again. Her laugh removed that nervous feeling that I had. I just enjoyed being with her until we reached her house. When we arrived at her place, she thanked me, then an old lady unlocked the door. She stared at me like she's going to kill me. She told me that's my Nana. I said, "Hi mom, good evening, I'm Russell." The old lady just rolled her eyes on me. Rachel told me that she's just like that, but she's a caring old lady. Rachel thanked me again for walking her home. While going back to the direction of my house, I overheard her Nana scolding her. "It's already sundown and you're with a boy. What are you thinking? Do you want to waste your parents' money? You're so ignorant." Rachel just replied with a, "I'm sorry Nana." The next day I waited for her at our hangout. She was already 30 minutes late. I was scared that she might not come. Then suddenly a voice shouted, "I'm so sorry, I was late." I saw Rachel out of breath from running. She was smiling at me, it made me so happy seeing her. She then asked me, "So, where are we going?" With an upbeat voice, and she was wearing this beautiful skirt. That was the first time I saw her like that. I always seen her wearing our uniform, of course. I told her that there's a carnival near, if she's up to it we can go there. She was excited cause it was her first time going to a carnival. When we reached our destination, I can notice that she can't hide her excitement. It was like she's a little kid going to a carnival for the first time. She was so cute. We enjoyed the whole afternoon together. After that we sat on a bench. I opened up that I overheard her conversation with her Nana. I told her, "I'm sorry if I'm snooping around and didn't mean to overheard their conversation." She just smiled and told me that it's okay. She suddenly stared in the sky and told me that she's going to share a little secret, but I have to swear that I won't change the way I looked at her. I promised her that I won't. She then told me, "It was hard for me to have friends, sometimes I choose not to. Having a feeling of attachment is hard for me with the fact that I will just move to another place thousands of miles away." I interrupted her with a question. "About that, but why do you keep moving? Are your parents some kind of a spy, or what?" She laughs and replied, "No, silly, about that. I'll share it when you're already worth it." Then she laughed so hard, and I was upset while at the same time trying not to laugh. I respect her decision. Then she continued. I'm the only kid and plus I'm a girl, so my parents, especially my nana, is very protective of me. I can't blame them. Before I continue, can we make a deal? I said. Yeah, for sure. She then told me. One day we'll be on our separate ways, I'll be moving out again. Promise me that no matter what, you'll remember me. I felt a tiny tingle in my heart after she asked me. I replied. Yes, but in one condition. She asked what? Swear that you won't forget about me, even if we go on our separate part. She said. Yes. I added. Even if you become a top secret spy. She laughed and punched me lightly. She said. My parents are not spies, oh my god, you'll know when you grow up. I was annoyed and laughed sarcastically. She then asked me what's my plan after graduation. I said. I haven't thought about it yet. I asked her the same question. She replied. I have a lot of plans. I want to be successful. I want to live my life to the fullest. I want to travel the world. I also want to be a guide for travelers. Then she became silent. I can see in her eyes that she was sad for some reason. I asked her if she's okay. She then suddenly smiled and told me that life is wonderful, so we need to cherish the present before it becomes a memory. I nervously reached for her hand while looking in a different direction. She said suddenly, I'll always remember this moment. Thank you, Russell. Then I looked at her. She was smiling, looking at the sunset with a teary eye. The place was magical. You can see the beach and the sunset at our point of view. At that time, I was really trying hard not to tell her about my true feelings. I was falling in love with her. I just enjoyed the moment. I told her that I'm sorry I didn't try reaching out earlier. We could have been spending the entire school year together, rather than spending it weeks away from our graduation. She replied. Everything happens for a reason and I didn't mind, because I know there's a reason for that. All the time we've been together I just admired how perfectly imperfect she was. I felt that I was lucky with the mere fact that I had the chance to know her and be her friend. She then continued talking about her situation. I've always wished that I can be with someone who truly understands me for how I really feel. I was thinking about saying that I'm here, aren't I, but I was too afraid said it. At that point I really want to hug her, make her feel that I will always be right by her side. It was getting dark, so I told her that we need to go home. I escorted her back to her house. Before reaching her destination, I stopped and told her it would be better if her nana doesn't see me, so she won't be scolded. I was shocked when she invited me for dinner. I hesitated at first, but she persuades me. She introduced me to her nana and mother. I also found out that her father was working abroad. At first her nana was staring at me like before, but eventually calmed down. Her mother was so polite that she asked me a lot of questions about my family during dinner time. I emphasized that the food was so good that it's like eating in a 5-star restaurant. Her mother giggled. She told me that her nana cooked the food. Then I saw her nana smiling. The entire dinner time went well. We had a lot of conversations. After that she asked me to go upstairs to check one of her favorite pastimes. When we reached her room, we went up in her attic and there was a large window with a telescope. She then told me. I was really intrigued by the stars and was wondering if the stars were the souls of people that used to live on this earth. The stars are like memories, you'll be able to feel them once you let your heart open up. We are all stardust anyways, so we'll be up there one day when we die. Always looking out for our loved ones that we left until the time that we'll be reincarnated. That really struck me. I told her that was really deep. She smiled and then she let me look through the telescope. I told her it was so beautiful. She then looked through the telescope and adjusted it on a direction that she really liked. She then told me that she really liked this one specific star for no reason. Sirius is the name of that star, she said. I looked at it, it was so bright and beautiful. Then I saw a shooting star. She excitedly checked it through the telescope, making our face close to one another. Then there was this intense feeling that went over me and she just looked at me. I kissed her. I immediately apologized that I didn't mean it and she smiled and kissed me too. It was like there's butterflies in my stomach. I was so high with happiness that my heart is pounding so fast. I suddenly told her. I think that I love you, Rachel. She looked at me with a mixed expression. She just changed the topic and told me. Is it okay with your parents that you're still not home by this hour? I replied while laughing. Yeah, my parents doesn't mind as long as I go home. She laughed and after a couple of minutes her nana shouted that I need to go home cause it's already late. I agreed and Rachel accompanied me downstairs through her door. I said goodbye and thanked her for the wonderful time. She also thanked me and kissed me in the cheeks. Days passed, we always spent our time together. After school we'll hang out by the tree. During weekend I'll spend time in her house until one day before our graduation. We had this plan to go to the beach at night, but I know her parent and her nana won't let her. So, that night before graduation she sneaked out while I'm waiting on her front porch. We run and head out to the beach. When we arrived, we just lay down and stargazed. Then she told me. Tomorrow's the last day we'll be able to see each other, so let's just cherish this moment, okay? I replied. Last day. We can still hang out by the tree in the field after graduation. She replied. I really love to do that with you, but sadly after graduation we'll be moving to Canada. I was so sad to hear that. Then she suddenly said. You don't have the permission to be sad right now, okay? It will be the last day we'll be spending together. So, let's enjoy it and you can be sad after I go away. Of course, I agreed and just spent the night with her with no worries and without any thought about the upcoming days. She then said. I was really happy that you tied the wrong bag back then, because of that, we're here right now, so, thank you for that. I was speechless, and my eyes got wet for no reason. She then reminded me not to be sad. She added everything happens for a reason. If you did not tie my bag by mistake back then I would not be here with you. I just looked at her and smiled. It was truly magical being with her at the beach and just talking about nonsense things while looking at the stars. At the end of it, I walked her back to her house. I was waiting for her to get inside before I leave. Then when she's already at the window of her room I waved goodbye, then she gestured and then a heart symbol then pointed at me. It was an I love you coming from her. With excitement I shouted. I love you more, Rachel Summers. She smiled and put her finger on her mouth telling me to be quiet, then she waved goodbye. The day of the graduation was full of mixed feelings. The thought of tomorrow is so heartbreaking, knowing that I will not be able to see her again, maybe for a long time or maybe forever. I was looking at her, mesmerizing her beauty and the very fact that I won't get another chance for a long time to see her through my eyes. After the event I introduces her to my parents as my girlfriend. She lightly punches me and smiled with embarrassment. My mom hugged Rachel. She was so happy due to the fact that my parents were happy to meet her. She also introduced her parent and Nana to my parents. Her mom hugged me and thanked me for making Rachel happy. After a small conversation, her Nana asked if she can talk to me alone. At first, I was so scared, maybe she will scold me or something. Then her Nana said, I was wrong about you. For the past weeks, I saw Rachel being happy. I hadn't seen her like that for a long time. I'm sorry if we'll be moving away. I hope you understand the situation, and one day maybe you'll both see each other again when she's already okay. I asked, what do you mean okay? She was shocked and asked me, don't you know? Did she not told you yet? Then before I can ask what she meant, Rachel interrupted. Nana, mom is asking for you. I was completely confused. I asked her what does her Nana means by you're not okay. She held my hand and she walked to her mother and asked them if it's okay to go somewhere because it will be the last day before they leave in the morning. Her mother and Nana agreed, then they told me that I walk her home before 10 p.m. She was silent the entire time. I noticed we're heading out on our hangout. She then told me upon seating by the tree. This place means a lot to me since this was the very first place I got the chance to know you. I interrupted with a joke. No, it was actually our classroom. She laughed and cried, then she hugged me tightly. I'm sorry, Russell, if I hadn't told you before the truth why we kept moving. The truth is. Then she was silent. It breaks my heart looking at her cried like that. I told her what happened to the deal we made at the beach, that we'll be both happy until you go away. Then she laughed while wiping her tears like a little kid. She then continued. Russell, I'm sick. I'm really sick. I need to have a professional doctor to aid me. That's why we kept moving. My mother decided to go here. She grew up here. She thought that I might have a normal life here in the last year of my high school before we can move to Canada with my dad. We actually found a doctor that will be able to aid me with my condition. I was scheduled to go under operation last year, but my mom saw that I was really depressed and unhappy due to the fact that I was like a sick little girl. I don't have the freedom to be happy. That's why she decides to postpone my operation for a year so that maybe I can be happy here even for a while. While she's telling me this, I can't help but to cry silently. She then continued. My mom thought being here in her hometown might make me happy due to the fact that it is very different from the city life. Right now I can totally agree that she was right because of you, Russell. I asked her what happened to her. She replied, 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. The doctor told us that I had 5 years to live and the operation was not a 100% assurance that I will survive. After hearing that, I broke out with tears and hugged her so tight. I told her that, no matter what, I'll be waiting for you and I won't give up on you, Rachel. We went home after a couple of hours. I had a sleepless night thinking about her. Even though I might not see her again, I never regret meeting her. The next day, I went to her house before she leaves. She hugged me tightly. I promised her that I won't give up on her. She kissed me for the last time. She then said, I will always think of you, no matter what. I'm coming back here, please wait for me Russell, one day we'll be together again, please take this, so every time you will be lonely, or you think you're forgetting what I look, you'll always have something to remember me. She then handed me her graduation picture. Then I watch her drove away in a carousel. Every day I would visit our hangout, day and night she's the only thing that runs through my mind. Days, months and years passed, I already graduated college, I haven't have any news about her for a long time. It's already been 4 years since the last day I saw her. Every day I would go to their house, waiting for someone that I could ask about her. Every day I would go to the tree by the field, cherishing the days I had with her. There was not a single day I haven't think about her. I always wonder how she was, and if she's doing okay. What if she already forgotten about me? Every day my heart slowly breaks inch by inch, with the idea that I might not see her again. Then one day, I saw her Nana and a guy I assumed her dad moving some boxes outside her porch. I introduced myself. Nana recognized me and hugged me suddenly. He introduced the guy that was actually Rachel's dad. I asked for Rachel, if she's coming home. Her dad replied with a yes. I was so happy that I asked them when. Then her dad responded that she'll be arriving tomorrow. Then her dad went inside to pick some things. Then her Nana held my hand. She told me with a low voice that Rachel never forgotten about me. She wanted me to have her diary. I asked her why would she want me to have this. Then tears run down on her cheeks. She then told me slowly. Rachel passed away 2 days ago. She was being ready to be transported here for her funeral. That was Rachel's last wish, to rest here by a tree in the field where her ashes will be scattered. It was her last wish to be at the place she felt the meaning of true happiness and love. Large amount of emotion flooded my heart. All the things we supposed to do suddenly becomes a dream. I fall to my knees bursting with tears. The day of her funeral was the hardest for me. Her family was all there. Her mother hugged me. She gave me the pot with her ashes and told me that Rachel wants you to do it. Then we walked to the place we hanged out 4 years ago, the tree by the field. After arriving we had a small eulogy. There I was, in front of her family commencing my eulogy. Rachel Summers, the girl that made me question reality, the girl that made me who am I today. I never regret being with you, even though our time together is short. You made me feel that loving someone can feel a lifetime. Although I would never see your smile again, in my heart, you'll forever stay. The only thing I regret is, I never had the courage to talk to you earlier that school year. We could have been spending more time together. You are my sunshine, you are my storm. We only known each other for a short period of time, but for you, I know it was a lifetime. I have to face this new chapter of my life without you. It's so strange that a person you only knew for a short time can have a big impact in your life. Rachel Summers, I promise to always look up in the stars, because I know you'll be looking down for me always. You taught me how to love. Until we meet again Rachel, until then. I will always remember you for who you are. I love you, Rachel. After that, I scattered her ashes under the tree. Months passed by and I still didn't have the courage to open up Rachel's diary. Ever since the day I found out that she already passed away, it was like a nightmare that wouldn't stop. One day, I decided to read her diary. I went to our old hangout. I pulled the courage to read it. I found out that every day since we met, she was full of happiness. At the very last part she noted, I think I won't be able to commit to my promise to you Russell. I think my days are numbered. I don't know why I'm crying. There was mark of tears on the paper. I really hope that reincarnation is true, so in my next life I could be with you. Always remember that the star that I showed you before will be my star. I hope you feel me every time you look up there. Know that I will always guide you in every step of your life. Please don't let yourself down, don't let your heart close its door. Learn to love again, learn to be happy again. I'll always be with you until we meet again. That is the promise that this time I will fulfill. Thank you Russell for being my strength, even if we're thousands of miles away. I'm sorry if I had to leave you like this. Know that everything happens for a reason, and someday you'll know that reason. For me, I already know the reason we've met. It was because you were the one who made me feel that happiness is possible even through the darkest hours. I will always love you Russell Petersons, and that would be forever. Remember that you'll be the last one I'll think about before I fade away, until we met again. Love Rachel. At the very last part was a knot taped on the paper. It was the same knot I tied her bag. It noted, this was the main reason our destiny intertwines. With a simple mistake, with a simple thing, it can result into big things that would stick in our hearts until our last breath. I cried a lot after that, but it also helped me move on. Every night I would imagine her visiting me, and every time that I would get a chance to go out, I would go look at the star, and it would make me feel that Rachel is always with me, caring, loving, watching. Years passed, I grew old, I had kids, and was married, but I never forgotten about Rachel until my very last breath. I died at the year of 1958. Then all I can remember was darkness, until the age of 12 years, back in 2007, all my memories from my past life, as Russell Peterson's, went back to me in a dream. From then on, I can vividly remember everything. The pain, happiness and love that I once had. I guess this is the start that I will be looking for Rachel. Wherever she is. Whoever she is now. I hope she remembers me, but that would be for another chapter of my story.